Hello there, it's Cassie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Sorry, I've been a little bit MIA. We're actually out of town, so I am doing this ahead of time so that you guys have at least something to watch on my channel. So let's go ahead and get started with what I am making today. I have some bookmarks that I had made for my nieces and nephews, and I have started off with some Canson XL watercolor paper that is 140 pound, and I am using some Distress Oxide inks, and I am blending those all over that upper 2/3 of the bookmark. And I'm using the colors, the darkest one is Blueprint Sketch, then it goes down to Faded Jeans, and then Broken China. I'm going to go back and forth doing this until those have a smooth enough blend. And I'm actually doing 4 of them. I'm not going to show you all 4, but I am making 4 because I have 3 nieces that I made these for and 1 nephew. Now I want to have a little bit of black soot around the edges, just for a little bit of, just a little extra something, and then I'll go back in with those same 3 colors and blend those out a little bit better. And then I will do the other 3. Now I missed the part where I splattered these with water, but I did splatter each of these with water because those are Distress Oxide inks. They react with water. And now I'm going to take some gold shimmer spray that I have. I didn't show you the bottle, but I will show you what I'm using, or I will tell you what I'm using down below. And I'm going to spray each of those with that gold spray that I'm using. And then once I'm done with the gold spray, I actually grab some blue. It's like a blueberry color that I have in my stash. I think I got it from an old Hero Arts kit, so I can't link it down below, but this stuff is fun. My bottle's a little bit clogged, so I'm having to take it out and just kind of flick it on, and I think I like that a little bit better anyway. It seems to have a little bit more control. The stamp set I'm going to be using is called Magical Dragons, and this is by My Favorite Things. Clearly this is a well-loved stamp set. I had to get these when I first saw them because actually my high school mascot was a dragon, and so I've always been very drawn to the little dragon images. So I'm going to go ahead and put these inside of my mini Misti because I want to make sure that I stamp those nicely. I am planning to do some Copic coloring. So by putting those in my mini Misti, if I have to restamp it to make sure that the image is good and crisp, I can do that. I'm stamping it onto some Express It cardstock, and I am inking it up with Memento Tuxedo black ink 2 times. And then I'm going to do this 4 times with the dragon, which I won't show you each of those, but I will do it 4 times. And I am going to stamp out the little girl 3 times and the little boy once. So I'll position my little girl on there. I'll ink her up. And these are like, what, 3 by 3 inch squares, I think, of cardstock. And then I'll flip it around and I'll stamp it again. And then I'll get out another piece of cardstock to stamp out the little knight and the other little princess. So for my coloring, there's no earth-shattering coloring going on here, but each of my nieces has different colored hair and look very different. So I plan to color all their skin tone the same, but each of their little dresses, they aren't each going to be different. I plan to do 2 purples and 1 pink, and I'm doing the little knight. He is mostly in the cool tones. So I put the colors up on the screen there for you so that you can see which ones I'm using. And these are tiny images. You wouldn't need to go too crazy doing a lot of blending and shading, but anyway, it's always fun to color. So I've got the YR23 and the Y28. Those are my favorite gold combination right now. And for the little girl, I'll only show you the coloring of one. I'm using V04 for her little dress, and I'm going to use V06 for her darker shade. Like I said, I do 2 purples and 1 pink, and I have sped this up about 4 times. And her hair is E42 and E44. And then I will color the little dragon. And I color all the dragons the same. So I start out with YG01. As I've said before, I like to put down a base color, and I always start with my lightest color. This way it kind of gets the paper a little bit wet, so those colors, when you start to blending, move a little bit easier. And then I move on to YG03. That's my next darkest color. And I'm just putting in the shadowing where I think they might be on this little dragon. And yeah, so my high school mascot was the Gretna Dragons. We were green dragons. Very, very fun. I believe they still are. And then I moved on to YG07 as my darkest shade. And then I will go backwards and blend those a little bit better together. YG03, and then the YG01. And I do that for all 4 of the little dragons. And then I'll use the C7 for his little claws and his little horns and the little spikes on his back. And then I'm going to put some tonic shimmer all over each of these, and then I will fussy cut all of those out. Now for my sentiment, I just have a long strip of white cardstock, and I didn't want the whole sentiment. So the sentiment itself says, "You make my life magical." And I didn't want all of that on there. I wanted just parts of that sentiment. So I am masking it off, and I'm doing it all 4 times because I'm going to make them all have the same sentiment on there. So I've just masked off just the part that says life magical, and I'm stamping that out 4 times. And I'm just using a Post-it to mask off the other parts when I get the color down, or so that I can ink it up. And then I move the Post-it, and then I stamp the rest. So now I'm masking off the next part, which is make, because I just want this to say make life magical. I just want that to be just a statement on there for each of the kiddos, and it'll fit nicely on the bookmark. And all I have to do is just move that paper up and down, mask off the 2 words on either side, and then I can stamp that down. And I'm just kind of eyeballing it the best I can, using the grid lines on the background of the mini Misti, and trying to see if I can get those lined up as best I can. And once those are all done, I will start trimming those out using my paper trimmer. Now it's time to assemble. So I just have liquid glue. I'm going to assemble all of these just using that liquid glue because, like I said, these are going to be bookmarks. And I've put that all over the back, and I'm just going to attach it to a navy cardstock. And so I do that with all 4 of those. And then I start putting a dragon and a little person on each one. And I'll, like I said, use the liquid glue once again. Now I don't show it on the camera or on screen, but I do end up laminating each of these because I wanted to make sure these lasted a while. You know, if you just glue them down and send them off, you're probably going to be just fine. But I wanted to make sure, because these are going to some littler ones too, I wanted to make sure that these were going to be good and sturdy. And so I ended up writing their name on each of the back one, like to Ava, to Elena, to Elise, to Austin, you know, love Aunt Cassie. I did find some little star sequins in my stash, so I'm using my crystal katana to pick each of those stars up and some liquid glue to adhere those down. And I'm going to do that on all 4. I'm just putting 3 on each of them. And so here they are in all of their finished glory. I thought these were just so much fun. And they're shiny and sparkly, and I think the kids received them really well. So like I said, I did laminate these. I used my Amazon Basics laminator. I let it heat up for a good long while, and then I ran each of these through and trimmed those down. And that is that. So if you liked this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And as always, thanks so much for stopping by.